graveyard shift. We're going down to Victoria, as Doug said. We've got a bit of a rapid fire presentation here to show you one of the best discoveries of gold in the space in Australia, and arguably one of the better ones globally over the last year or so. So I am the optimist, and I always say that when I show this disclaimer that now extends over 2 pages. So just be aware of the comments that I'm going to make. Since we were here in November last year, it's been a rapid fire time at Southern Cross. We've raised $16 million. We've got 4 rigs operating today. We're just over halfway through a 30-kilometre drill program. We've been benchmarked as one of the better global discoveries, as I mentioned. We continue to intersect the better holes on the project continuously. Just have a look at our news flow and the hit rate that we're seeing. We're fully permitted. That's a really key aspect of any explorco, to get on the ground and drill to make those discoveries. And we have the cash to do that with over $15 million in the bank as of last quarter. We're building a rare and high-grade asset. And the good news is you haven't missed out. This was the 3rd best IPO last year on the ASX, the best IPO in the gold stocks. It's been not much of a market for gold, as you're probably all very well aware if you've got gold stocks in your portfolio. Southern Cross was number 1, and then there's only Pac Gold, and then no other IPO in the last 2 years in Australia is above its issue price. We're still sitting well above that based on these results. So imagine if we get a great market, what can happen, and no doubt that discrepancy in the market that we see with gold explorcos and the price of gold has to regress to the mean at some point. So here's just really some of the summary of some of the hits. We are hitting very high-grade gold, nice wide intersections that you can see up there. The hit rate that I've mentioned now a couple of times, just on any benchmark of an exploration project, is really that this is spitting out more gold than most that we see around the world. We have a very large footprint to explore into. We've drilled out over about 1 kilometre, down to 1 kilometre at depth. We're drilling to depth, and I'll explain why that's the case in a moment as we see the system telescoping. And our strategy clearly is to make this a lot bigger. We're not going to go to a mineral resource tomorrow, as we've still got a very large part of our property to explore. Notwithstanding, we're doing a lot of the very serious work behind the scenes, the permitting, the political lobbying, the metallurgy, and all those kind of things that you need to do. The relationships on the ground are strong, and we know as mineral industry professionals that that's very much needed. But the strategy and the way that you'll make money as investors is us to find more gold and then put out a very substantial resource. Some of the metrics, you can look at this online. The market cap is around $80 million today. There's that $15 million in the bank, and you can see the share price since we listed just over a year ago from 20 cents. Importantly, this is how the project's developed. It really sat there for so long. In the 90s, it was held by one individual. And you can see, if I look around here, the pink dots are the plus 20 gram hits. So there was about 1,000 metres, 30 holes drilled, and it really sat there through to only 20 years ago. The last mineral boom, it came out into Oceania. They spun it out into a company called Beadell. Stayed very close looking for shallow resources. Then we got hold of it in this Canadian company called Mawson, and then we spun it out of Mawson. And Mawson started to find things going to depth. You can see down to about 400 metres here. And then we've really hit the power band. There's a lot of pink dots there. You can see very high grades extending to depth, but a lot of white space also. And Victoria is the gift that keeps on giving in terms of gold. It's been a very productive, historically, as we're all aware, gold district. In fact, I think there's about 1.5% of the world's gold has come from Victoria, a little bit down there. But what's made it famous was this stuff down here that I've just put a little arrow on. It's the Ordovician gold. Now that was great for the old timers, but it's been an abject failure in the modern day, and that's what made Victoria stink, really. Everyone forgot about Victoria because it was quite nuggety, like sultanas in a plum pudding, and you couldn't get that reconciliation from every part of the process, from your sampling and drilling to mining. What made Victoria famous over the last 4 or 5 years, or since 2015 actually, was a rediscovery of the Fosterville gold mine. That was a pretty average mine originally. It became the highest grade gold mine on earth for 4 of the last 6 years. And I've just got my phone here beside me. I can see a message come up. I've got Boyd and Nick over here handing out packs. So if you want to see press releases, presentations, please put your hand up and they'll come and deliver. If we run out, we've got our booth outside. So thank you for that reminder to the podium, gentlemen. So the Devonian story, which is this top one, has rewritten the history, or the opportunity, the economic opportunity. And these styles of deposits, which we have at Sunday Creek, which is what Fosterville is also, transition from very gold antimony rich systems to these uber high grades at around about 800 metres. So that's driving our strategy. Now this is Victoria. If we start to zoom in, the green is what basically didn't work. Worked for the old timers. That's the Bendigo and Ballarats of the world. Bendigo here and Castlemaine, etc. But it's the orange that we're after. Our projects down here, there's Fosterville and Costerfield's another. So we have 2 of the highest grade operating gold mines in the world today in Fosterville and Costerfield in Australia, producing more gold than we have for 100 years down in that cold state. Those online, you're missing out. It's beautiful up here, and I'm a bit sad that I have to go home tomorrow, other than see my wonderful wife if she's listening. Here is the reason why those orange deposits work. So this orange block under here, it's the base of the crust, has brought those very different fluids to the table, and that's why that Selwyn block exists above these deposits that are so amenable and so high grade. So if we just focus in here, we can see this is our tenure. We have 3 projects. We'll talk mainly around this project, which is Sunday Creek. Sorry, it's just that one there. That's Sunday Creek. We'll mention this project here briefly. Redcastle, there's one more, we won't have time, Roo. But if we just zoom in to Sunday Creek, which is just down the road from Fosterville and Costerfield, you can see 20,000 hectares of, of exploration ground. It's been a busy few days and perhaps too many late nights. The area where we're focusing here is in about 1 kilometre here in this area here, but it is a system that extends. So let's just take a look at that as we zoom in and can look along that basically that 10k trend through there. So lots of old mines that had never been drilled up until literally a year ago when we came in here. So if we just look at the footprint here, that's our main area, and you can start to see the LiDAR, and then the trend of mineralisation. The old timers basically mined a trend like this and then mined across. You can see their high-grade pits here. If we just follow the mineralisation, here's our soil samples 3 kilometres away, and you can see the same trend out here. We've just put some holes here over the last few weeks. No results out yet, but you can see that it's a very similar footprint from the LiDAR, never been drilled. 7 kilometres away, the same sort of thing with lots of old disturbance that this new technology, the LiDAR, has helped us see over kilometres of old historic mines. Let's zoom back and go underground. So if we just look here, just before we go underground, this is the model that we're working with. It's a very consistent sequence. You can see the alteration halo there around this project. So we've got, it's about 200 metres wide, this zone. So it's a big structure, and that contains all our gold, and that's what extends over this 10 kilometres, this mineralised structure. And then, like I showed just on the LiDAR, we have the high-grade veins cutting across it in this northwest direction, which is shown by the yellow lines there. This essentially remains about 1/3 drilled, this area, just this 1 kilometre on the slide, but it does extend for that 10 kilometres further east, like I just showed you. So a very consistent host, very consistent orientation to the veins, and the vein and the frequency of those very high-grade veins is quite impressive. And then if we just look at the same cross-section or same schematic in cross-section, you can see that it continues very much to depth, and we've drilled it to 1 kilometre and it's open. So let's just go back underground and have a bit of fun looking down at depth here. This is the green rock is basically that structure. The gold is the very wide alteration package. Doesn't look as nice as a schematic. This is the real data from our model, constrained by drilling. And you can see that we've got that model down to about 1 kilometre depth. If we just take that golden stuff off, and then we can see the veins in grey that start to appear here. And I'll strip it back a little bit further so you can understand it. The black holes are those that we've drilled. The pink there on the slide is the plus 20 gram hits. So there's a hell of a lot of these, literally hundreds of these. It's just easy to show you the very high grades to this system. And you can see the yellow holes are those that are coming, so that are either being logged by our geologists, being drilled now, or in the lab. So you can start to see that there's a lot of news flow coming. Now, if we just strip off basically the host structure and leave what we can see here now, we can see that there's some very good hits right across this whole thing. And without wanting to name every drill hole, you can see extremely high grades, some very high grade, 1.7 at 29, but there's 16 metres here at 14, for example. And then on the other side, you're seeing very similar, 0.9 at 167, yet 11 at 9 out through here. So you can go through those results, but you can see multiple high grades right across the system with these northwestern veins showing through here. And a hell of a lot of drilling to be done. Basically, if you can, that's the beauty of the 3 dimensions. You can see in this area that you see there's not a lot there when we rotate it into the right area. You can see we're just starting to test this Apollo area down at depth, down towards from the bottom 500 metres. That basically shows. And if we just zoom out a little bit, you can see actually that there's no drilling through here at all yet. We've got some high-grade old mines through here and here that we've got to fill in, and lots more gaps. So still, about a third of that area, and as I've said, it continues out through here quite a long way. So that's the bigger picture through there. We're going to stop playing around now and just look at one other project, which was that Redcastle project to the north. This is just the mine extensions of Costerfield, which is one of the mines that is operating. I think it's the 7th highest grade gold mine on earth. It operates at about 12 grams. And this is essentially the mine lease extensions through here. And we just purchased a little area out through here, was the only gap in our tenement. And there'd been some recent drilling a couple of years ago that had found very thin but very high grades. This is very commensurate with what they're mining at Costerfield. They mine on average about 30 centimetres at 60 grams. So we're on to a high-grade part of the system there now. We bought that project for less than the drill cost, and we've got 17 kilometres of veining here that it's only had 15 holes, plus these new ones, 16, so 31 holes to depth. There's literally no holes deeper than what the old-timers mined on this project. But you can see the opportunity going to depth and how these properties can telescope. And the good news is we've literally got something that looks a bit like Ayers Rock underneath here. They mine, here's the little area we bought with those very high grades. They mine 20,000 ounces near surface at 250 grams, very high grade systems, these Victorian systems. And then we've got this IP anomaly that will show the sulphide content that is those host veins, and it looks like Ayers Rock sitting there, never drilled, and we look forward to getting into that system. As I said, we're very much focused on staying on that Lassonde curve. That's where the value in this business really comes from exploration. That's the bias of a geologist, but taking that idea and creating lots of ounces in the ground is very much the runway we're still on. But we are very serious technical people and doing a lot of that groundwork, like I mentioned earlier. We do have about 20% by recoverable value in antimony. Antimony is and has been a critical metal during World War I. This mine was one of the few that stayed open. These old mines here that we own by decree of the Imperial Munitions Act of England to make their bullets hard, but it's used in a lot of other aspects today. I can see I've got 30 seconds and I'm just coming up to the last slide now, or last two slides. Very important, the people in any company, and we've got a great team from the directors down. Here we are with the local Tungarung people having a smoking ceremony when we initiated the company, and we've got great relationships there. We're drilling. We've got the money, 4 rigs. We're going to hit a lot more gold if the system continues to develop as it has so far, and this will be one of the higher grade and larger resources to come over the next year or so as we continue to drill this out. So thank you very much for your time.